Hola, soy Dani. Howdy everybody, Dani here. We just heard a really wonderful sermon with so many people who contributed to the service about isolation and solitude. And today we are here and we're going to follow up on the story that I told during our time for all ages. So I just want to start with saying it's wonderful to see everyone. I hope you all are having a fabulous Sunday, and I'm going to light the chalice. Now, the chalice lighting I'm going to use is a song, and the song is Love Surrounds Me. And we sang this together a few weeks ago, but I figured I'd bring it back because I think it's wonderful to sing together. So I hope you're listening. You can sing along with me. I'm going to sing it through twice. I'm going to have my doggos not be barking and growling because we're going to sing about love. So remember, it goes, love surrounds me, this I know, for my spirit tells me so. All of us to love belong. It lifts us up and makes us strong. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. My spirit tells me so. All right, so I hope everybody's going to sing with me while we light our chalice. So here we go, lighting the chalice. Love surrounds me, this I know, for my spirit tells me so. All of us to love belong, it fills our hearts and makes us strong. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. My spirit tells me so. Let's sing that one more time so you can sing with me. Love surrounds me, this I know, for my spirit tells me so. All of us to love belong, fills our hearts and makes us strong. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. Yes, love surrounds me. My spirit tells me so. And I don't know if you could tell that, but we had Nim singing along with us a little bit, the doggo. So that was the whining along that you heard. It's her version of singing. So I don't know how many of you were watching the service. I hope you all managed to catch the story for all ages. But we told the story of one, which starts off about a little color named Blue who's having a little bit of trouble with a color named Red, who keeps telling him that red is hot, blue is not. And Blue has to find a way to stick up for himself and still treat Red with love. And one helps to show him the way. One teaches him how to stand up for himself and to do that in a kind way. And it made me think, all these numbers and colors, about this thing called corner theory. And corner theory is a real simple concept. So if you think about a square, or a rectangle, it has 4 corners. And corners are parts of our lives. And corner people are people who we trust to help us with different parts of our lives. So I thought we would take this idea and we would do a little activity with it. So if you have pipe cleaners later on, you can do this. If not, you can get a pencil and a paper, and you can do it that way too. But first, we're going to talk about corner number 1, which we're going to use our principles as corners. So principle number 1. What is our first principle? Well, our first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. Or 1, each person is important, as a lot of us remember it. So, if I'm thinking about 1, and I'm thinking about somebody who helps me remember our first principle, that's my corner person. 1, each person is important. So I'm going to think in my head, who helps me remember that each person is important? And that made me think about my friend. Her name's Chris. And she's one of the people who helped teach me when I was in religious education for the first time when I was younger. So my first corner person is Chris. And Chris helps me remember that each person is important. So what I have here is I have my pipe cleaner that I made. I don't know if you saw how I made that. I folded it over and I turned it. And then I have a card and an envelope. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a note to Chris. And I'm going to say, "Dear Chris, you are my number one principal corner person. You help me remember that each person is important." And then I'm going to send her my pipe cleaner that I made for her, and I might draw her a picture or something. So this is an activity that I hope that you guys will do too. And I'm wondering, who is your one person who helps you remember the first principle? One, each person is important. Would you comment and let me know who your first person is in your corner? Who's that person that helps you remember that every person deserves to be treated with inherent worth and dignity? Let's think about our second one. And while we do that, I'll go ahead and I'll make my number 2 for a pipe cleaner. So I'm going to curl it, and then I'm going to swoop it, and then I'm going to loop it, curl, swoop, loop, and that's number 2. Number 2 can kind of look like a number 6 if you're not careful. So you might want to squish that down. So there we go. There's my number 2. I hope that looks like a 2 to you, because it looks a little bit backwards to me. What's our second principle? I wonder, can you remember what our second principle is? Our second principle in our big adult principles is justice, equity, and compassion in human relationships. So if we continue singing our song, 1, each person is important. 2, do you remember what it is? Be kind in all you do. So now I'm going to think, who is it that reminds me that everything I need to do, I need to be kind in? Be kind in all I do. If I really think about it, who first taught me that? Well, when I was in 5th grade, I had this really great teacher, and her name was Mrs. Garcia. And Mrs. Garcia used to always remind me that I needed to treat other people kindly and fairly. And I liked to make jokes a lot when I was in 2nd grade, or 5th grade. I made it my whole mission when I was in 5th grade to try to make other people laugh. And sometimes I would make jokes and they wouldn't exactly make the person who was the butt of my joke laugh. So Miss Garcia taught me that a joke at someone else's expense is never funny. So I remember Mrs. Garcia for 2, be kind in all you do. So I've got an envelope and a card for her too. Now, let's think about my third corner principal person. I need to make a number 3. How am I gonna make a number 3 out of this straight pipe cleaner? That might be kind of hard. I'll start off with a curve, and then maybe I'll loop a curve, and then I'll make a little swirl, and maybe for this curve, I need to give a little oomph. That looks like a 3, right? I wonder if somebody makes a better 3, if they'll post a picture of it in the comments. 3, what's our third principle? Well, our adult words for it are acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. What's number 3 for our promises? Well, if we continue with our song, 1, each person is important. 2, be kind in all you do. 3, we're free to learn together. So we're free to learn together. Who encourages me to learn? Oh, that's a hard one. Who would my third corner person be? Who would I want to write and thank them for helping to encourage me to learn? I know who it is. When I was growing up, and still today, one of my very closest friends is Katie. And Katie and I spent a lot of time running around and using our imaginations, but most importantly, we shared a real love of books, but we read completely different things. I read a lot of science fiction, and she read a lot of manga, and we had these different things. But because we spent so much time together, and because we rode next to each other on the bus, and often we would finish reading our books while sitting next to each other, we would trade books. And she opened up an entire new realm of learning and reading for me that I never knew existed. Katie encouraged me to learn every day. And she helped me to push my boundaries and think about new things. She was one of the first people to give me a book about reincarnation, which I thought was really, really kind of a strange thing. But once I read the book, I was like, huh, what an interesting concept. And she helped me understand what it meant. And while I never really folded it into my belief system, she taught me about exploring other ideas. She really encouraged me to grow and be free to learn together. So I'm going to tell her about that when I write my letter to her. Now my fourth corner person. That's really hard to say. So what principle is that? What is principle number 4? Well, in our adult language, it's a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So what's our 4th promise? Do you remember? Can anybody type it before I can sing it? I don't know. This is the challenge for you. But if I were to sing the principle song, I would go, 1, each person is important. 2, be kind in all you do. 3, we're free to learn together. 4, do you know it? Do you know it? Do you know it? And search for what is true. So it's pretty close to our main principle, our promise. Search for what is true. Is there somebody who encourages you to search for truth and meaning? Time to make a 4. Let's think about this number 4. I want to do blue for 4. Because true blue, right? Searching for the truth. How do we make a 4? Well, I like this curling method, so I'm going to fold it over, and then maybe I can straighten it out. 4. Who is my 4th corner person? My 4th corner person is my mom, because my mom always encouraged me to find truth. When I would wonder about things, or if I wasn't sure what was going on, or if I was only looking at one side of a story, my mom would ask me what the true story was. Sometimes I would come home from school and I would be so upset because of something that had happened. An interaction that I had had with a friend or someone who really I didn't consider a friend, and I would tell her all about it, and I would tell her how upset I was and how it was just so unfair that I had been treated that way. And my mom would encourage me to think about what the other person might have been going through. Brene Brown calls this a stormy first draft. We tell ourselves a story in our heads for our interactions. And sometimes, because we're looking at things from our own perspectives, we don't see them from the perspectives of other people. So we get wrapped up in it. So we have to go discover what the real, true first draft is. So later on, when I do my writing, I'm going to write my mom a letter and tell her about how she's my 4 person. Search for what is true. How she helps me remember a free and responsible search for truth and for meaning. So there are 3 more principles, and I think we'll save that for later on in the week. But for right now, you might be saying, Dani, you said you were going to write letters to people. What if I don't have any stamps or letters or envelopes? How can I do that? Because obviously you all speak to me like I'm in the 3rd person. Well, I'm going to teach you how to make an envelope. Are you ready? Feel free, if while you're watching and I'm making this envelope, you've come up with any ideas of your corner people. I want to know who they are. I want you to share them in the comments. Tell me, who's your corner person? Who helps you? Remember that each person is important. Who encourages you to search for what is true? Who helps you grow spiritually? Who reminds you that you need to treat others with justice, equity, and compassion? Okay, so to make an envelope, the first thing I need to do is I need to turn this rectangle into a square. So how do you do that? You see I don't have any scissors here. Well, it's really easy. I'm gonna fold so that the bottom edge lines up completely. Hey, stop with that crinkle. And I'm gonna make a nice, good crease. And now that I've done that, I can see where the triangle is. I'm gonna fold it down so it matches perfectly. There we go. Give it a good sealing. And then I'm gonna unfold, and now I'm gonna refold it the other way. Now, if you're somebody who thinks licking things is gross, look away, because this is called the lick and flip method. If you don't want to lick and flip, you can just keep folding, but this is really quick. Lick, lick, and rip. Ta-da! All right, so now that I've got my first fold, I'm gonna make my second fold. So now I should have a handy dandy X in the middle of my envelope, or soon to be envelope, I should say. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it. I'm gonna take the tip of each point and I'm gonna take it to the center. Gonna go folding here. Don't forget, as you're watching, I wanna know who those corner people are. Don't forget to comment and tell me who you're gonna be sending your notes to. I'm gonna fold it here. I'm gonna fold it here. Remember, every time you fold it, you're just taking the corner down to the center. And I'm gonna fold it, and I can actually take this one, I can fold it down a little bit lower here. And guess what? Now your letter is already its very own envelope. So I suggest you make your envelope first, get all your really good folds in so you remember how to do it, and then you can take it apart. And when you write your letter on the inside, when they open their envelope, it'll already be a letter. Less paper, and you can put the stamp right on the outside. All right, everybody, that's all I have for you today, but it was really great talking to you. I'm gonna go ahead and close up my envelope, save it for one of my corner people. I'm gonna extinguish our chalice, but I want you to remember that even though the fire or the flame is extinguished, we still have that warmth of community deep down in our hearts. Remember, you are loved, you are cherished, and you are not alone. Until next time, everybody.